Number 10, Simon Matheri. When the entry on the most wanted list is titled Public Enemy Number 1, then you know the police have a funky content creator for their website or the man are completely lethal. Matheri began his working life as a taxi driver in, you guessed right, wrong guy. He was arrested and jailed for arson for 5 years at the one place where hardened criminals in Kenya are manufactured, Kamiti Prison. In his short career, Matheri was said to have shot and killed or wounded prominent African AIDS researcher, Job Bwayo, Lois Anderson, a Presbyterian missionary, and her daughter Zelda White, the wife of a U.S. Embassy employee, a Carol Briggs, a missionary volunteer. He is probably the only violent robber in Kenya who once had a Wikipedia page. Matheri lived a very simple but wild life. When he was killed, the only things found in the house were 2 mattresses, a coffee table, a sofa set, a DVD and a 14-inch TV. Number 9, Philip Onyancha. Philip Onyancha is Kenya's most brutal if not terrifying serial killer in history. Onyancha is said to have killed and drunk the blood of 17 women after in what he claimed was a satanic ritual. Onyancha mainly targeted prostitutes and street children and was arrested and now serves time in prison. Number 8, Harrison Okumu. A serial killer, Harrison Okumu has died after a fight following a disagreement with cellmates at Kisumu's Kodiaga Maximum Prison. Okumu was facing charges of killing 5 people and burying them in his compound. The suspect was arrested in August 2013 after his village residents in Kisumu County unearthed human remains buried in a shallow grave next to his house. He was arrested in Mombasa where he had boarded a Garissa-bound bus after weeks of police tracking. Number 7, Daniel Kiptum alias Frank. No, this is not Frank Martin, but I can see why you would make that error. Neither was he ever a CID detective, as he made everyone believe. He had only once been a police reservist who lost his job for hiring out his gun out to robbers. He was also soft-spoken, murderous, cunning, and meticulous. He killed the first officer who went to arrest him in Imara Daima, Charles Carew, and later killed Mina Cheseram, and died holding an Uzi submachine gun. Number 6, Peter Mui aka Weke Nyong'o. His surname Weke Nyong'o is Swahili for strangle, which is quite ironic. Apart from being a famous bank robber, he was also a cold-blooded killer. He is the godfather in the history of Kenyan crime due to the lots of gangsters that he influenced. In the 1970s, he was the most wanted man in Kenya with a bounty of 100,000 Kenyan money, or $1,000 on his head. That was quite a large amount in those days. In his lifetime, he robbed millions of shillings from various banks countrywide. He was killed in 1978 after a dramatic gunfight with the police in a club in Kagemi, Nairobi. Number 5, John Baptista Kariuki. He was born in 1950 in central Kenya. By the time he was only 20 years old, he was already on the most wanted list for a string of violent robberies around Nairobi. He was arrested in 1971 and jailed for 20 years in prison. While serving his sentence, he started writing his famous novel My Life in Crime, and My Life with a Criminal among others. He was released 13 years later for portraying good conduct. However, he was jailed again in 1986 after being accused of being part of those planning to dethrone the then President Moi. Number 4. Gerald Warburgo aka Wanugu. He was a tout before becoming a mechanic. Wanugu started criminal activities in the late 80s and was part of a gang that terrorized Kenyans until the 90s. He was a famous bank robber, managing to outrun the elite flying squad police unit plenty of times. This was until 1996, when his illustrious career came to an end in Nakuru. Both he and his girlfriend were sprayed with bullets when they were spotted running errands together. Wanugu reportedly tried to use his girlfriend as a human shield, hoping for a negotiation. He was known to be Kenya's romantic gangster who gave girlfriend an AK-47. Number 3. Anthony Ngogi alias War Chocho. Was part of a gang that reigned supreme for almost a decade. This was from the 80s to the 90s. He committed hundreds of armed robberies, bank heists and murders. In his earlier years, Warchocho was a Matata driver with exceptional mechanic skills. This explains how he was able to outrun the police during car chases. In 1996, he was gunned down in Rongai, Kajiado. The controversy in his death came from his mother. She claimed that the body which they buried didn't belong to his son, raising questions as to whether he really died or escaped. Number 2. Bernard Matheri alias Rasta. He and his wife Mary Wanjiku were more than lovers, they were accomplices in crime. This is very uncommon in the lifestyle of Kenyan criminals, since most prefer keeping their dirty laundry from their significant others. Their gang consisted of 4. Matheri was killed in 1997. 2 years later, his lover was arrested and jailed for 7 years in prison when a robbery attempt on an armored vehicle went wrong. The other member was John Kibera, the famous coffin stealer who recently got saved after escaping death. The last member, Timothy Ndegwa, is currently serving a life sentence at Kamiti Maximum Prison. Number 1. Edward Maina Shimoli aka the Jackal. This was one of the most slippery criminals that Kenya has ever seen. He was nicknamed after Carlos the Jackal, the terrorist from Venezuela who managed to escape from the police numerous times. Shimoli succeeded in staying away from police radar for more than a decade. He also escaped from jail 3 times. He escaped from court cells, from a police convoy, and several times from prison. In 1996, his colleagues busted him out of Kamiti Maximum Prison by shooting their way through, a day before he was scheduled to face the hangman's noose. He was convicted of hundreds of bank robberies, 88 rapes, 14 murders and numerous drug deals.